Are you willing to listen now? He said. You nodded. You wanted to give him a chance to explain everything, and you wanted to explain everything too. Taeyong stepped away from you as he tried to collect his thoughts. Well, where do I start? He said, nervously chuckling. Give me 1 second. You told Taeyong as you went to the washroom to grab the first aid kit. You could see many bruises and scars Taeyong had. You made him take a sit on the bed and started applying ointment to his bruises on his face. I usually do this on my own, he chuckled. You were saying? You said so Taeyong could proceed back to what he was saying before. Well, let's see. So I knew about you ever since you were a little girl. Mom used to tell me about your mom and how they were best friends and that she had a very lovely daughter. He said. You couldn't help but smile as you continued to clean his cut. You never saw me because I had been training to become the head of Bangtan with my father. So when he passed away, I would be able to lead the Mafia in the best direction possible. The other boys you met are in the Mafia as well, because their fathers had helped my father start the Mafia. He continued. So when my father passed away, I stepped in, but I still had one more requirements to fulfill before I become the leader, and that was marrying you. It was my final mission, and I am really glad because there is no one I would want to be with more. He said, now taking your hands in his. You mean that? You asked, tearing up a bit because you were never the one to cry, but these days you had been really emotional too. Of course, baby. Now you tell me, Agent Nat 1? He chuckled. I was kidnapped 3 months before getting married to you, and they wanted me to carry out the missions. Otherwise, they would have killed my parents and you. You had been kidnapped and you never told me? Well, how could I? I thought you were an innocent normal guy, Taeyang. Had I known you were a mafia leader, a bad guy, You said not thinking much about what you were saying, but Taeyang was offended by your remarks. He wasn't a bad guy and he had never mistreated you. Oh, so you think I'm a bad guy? Taeyang said, crossing his arms. That's not what I meant. It's just that you tried to take back what you said. No, I get it. I say all these nice things about you, and I all get is that I am a bad guy. He said, now getting up from the bed. Well, in my defense, you said I was just a mission. That's not what I said. I just said you were more than that. Taeyang said, now getting clearly upset. You know what, if I'm such a bad guy? Then you probably don't want to sleep next to me. So I am just going to sleep somewhere else. Taeyang huffed and left the room with his pillow. This one was your fault, but what else could you have said? Your hatred for Mafia was because of what happened to your grandfather. You were really tired and didn't have time to deal with this, so you just went to bed. Taeyang kept tossing and turning on the living room sofa. He wasn't able to sleep at all, thinking about how you thought he was a bad person. But then he realized you thought Taeyang was an underground mafia. What you didn't know was that Taeyang was a good mafia, and tomorrow he was going to prove to you exactly that. The next day morning. The morning came and you were in the washroom brushing your teeth when Taeyang entered. He was really sleepy since he didn't get the best sleep at night. You chuckled seeing his sleepy eyes and ruffled hair. He went to his sink and started brushing his teeth as well, He didn't greet you or acknowledge your presence, so you figured he was still upset at what you said yesterday. You then went to your closet to change. When you got out, you saw Taeyang not ready for work at all. Aren't you supposed to be doing some mafia things? Taeyang rolled his eyes. Ha ha ha, very funny. I'm actually taking you somewhere. Where? You asked in curiosity. That's a surprise. You and him entered his private jet. Wow. Taeyang chuckled at your reaction. You and him took a seat, and the whole time you kept shaking your knees and taking a deep breath. Everything all right? Yeah, I just don't like flying, you said and went back to your breathing exercises. Taeyang slipped his hands in yours. Don't worry, I got you, he said, making you smile. The ride wasn't that bad after all. You guys landed in a sort of village. You saw a lot of kids huddling around the jet you were landing on. Taeyang went out first, and all the kids came running to him. Oh, guys, I missed you too. Taeyang was dragged away with the kids. An old lady came to greet you. Hi, you smiled. You must be Mrs. Kim. We have heard so much about. Yeah. You looked around the village. There were no buildings in sight, but lots of crops and fields and small houses everywhere. You must be wondering where this is. Well, these are the outskirts of the country. We lived in poverty for years with no fresh water and terrible living conditions until Taeyang's father showed up. He has provided our village with more than we can imagine. We live a happy, fulfilled life now, and I'm so grateful for Taeyang for continuing it, the old lady said. So, this is what Taeyang was doing with all the money he had. He didn't invest in drugs and weapons like the mafias you had heard about. You were so proud of him, and you definitely owed him an apology for calling him a bad guy. Soon it was night time. You met all the kids and they loved you instantly. You also had lunch there and it was a lot of fun. You were very happy that all these kids were getting a chance at a good lifestyle. Before you even know it, it was time to go and you and Taeyang waved from inside the jet as it got ready for takeoff. You then turned around to face Taeyang. I owe you an apology, Taeyang. I just thought mafias kill people and do drugs and use their money for bad stuff. I'm sorry for criticizing you. I'm really proud of what you are doing. It's amazing, you said, kissing his cheek. He blushed. Thank you. He lay on your shoulder. You both reached home. Taeyang soon had fallen asleep and you chuckled at his tiny snores. Next day morning, your phone rang and it was an unknown number, but you quickly picked it up because you didn't want Taeyang to wake up. Hi, who's this? Funny, how you have already forgotten your best friend. The girl on the phone chuckled. Are you? Your eyes widened.